Welcome to DRM News Global. You're here, I imagine, because you want the important news fast and clear without getting bogged down.
Exactly.
Today, we're looking at something pretty interesting that's been lighting up social media. Lorde's surprise appearance in Washington Square Park.
Hmm.
She was there to give fans a first listen of her new single, What Was That?
Right. And we've pulled together reports from, a few different places to really get a handle on what went down.
Yeah, what happened, why it's got people talking, and maybe what it hints about, well, Lorde's next musical chapter and how she connects with her fans.
And I think what's really fascinating here, it's not just the event itself, but what it kind of reveals about how artists and fans interact these days.
That's so.
Well, you had this very direct, almost personal invitation, right? The text messages.
Yeah.
But that immediately bumps up against, city rules about public spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see her determination to connect anyway.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how artists are trying new things.
Okay, let's start right there with that invitation. So forget email newsletters or big social media posts.
Yeah.
Lorde apparently used text messages. Just meet me in the park, Tuesday, April 22nd, 7 p.m. Why do you think she'd do it that way? Seems unusual.
It really does. Using text like that, it creates this feeling of exclusivity, doesn't it? And immediacy.
Right, not like a mass email.
Exactly. It's not just broadcasting. It feels more like a direct line.
Yeah.
It makes fans feel, special, part of something smaller, more intimate.
And I guess the reaction shows it worked.
Oh, definitely. Reports say Washington Square Park filled up really fast. People were eager, anticipating something.
And that park, it's kind of known for spontaneous stuff happening, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It has this cultural weight,
Yeah.
a history of public expression, art, gatherings. So choosing that specific spot, well, it adds another layer. It feels intentional.
But this being New York City,
Mm.
things didn't go quite as planned initially.
No. Park rangers, police, they arrived pretty quickly.
And shut down that first attempt.
Yeah, they stopped the gathering. The reason given was the lack of permits.
Permits. For what exactly?
A sound permit and a general parks permit.
Yeah.
You really need those for any kind of planned concert or performance event in a city park there. Standard procedure, really.
So art meets bureaucracy.
You could say that. It highlights that tension, right?
Yeah.
Between wanting spontaneous connection and the city needing to manage public spaces, safety, noise.
How did Lorde react to being shut down?
She went straight to Instagram stories, actually. Acknowledged it happened, said she was amazed by how many people came out,
Okay.
and she apologized for everyone having to disperse. So, very direct.
That seems important, right? Communicating directly like that when things go wrong.
Hugely important, especially now. It manages expectations, maybe softens the disappointment. By addressing it honestly and showing she cared about the fans who showed up, she would probably strengthen that connection, even though the first plan failed.
Meanwhile, the official side. The DCPI spokesperson confirmed an unscheduled event happened around 6:47 p.m., but they focused purely on the permit issue and the organizers leaving. Apparently, they didn't even name Lorde in the statement.
Which is interesting, isn't it? And it sort of underscores that from the city's perspective, it wasn't about who it was.
Just about the rules.
Exactly. It was a procedural thing. The rules apply whether you're a global star or anyone else trying to stage an event without permission.
But that wasn't the end of the story. She came back.
She did. Around 8 p.m., she returned, this time with her collaborator, Dev Hynes, Blood Orange.
Okay, and what happened then? Still no big sound system, I assume?
No, definitely not. Reports say Dev Hynes just played the new song What Was That from a handheld radio.
Oh, radio. Seriously?
Yeah. While Lorde was apparently just dancing along to it,
Yeah.
it's pretty resourceful.
That is resourceful. It kind of gets around the whole sound permit issue, doesn't it?
Completely. It keeps it low-key, intimate, but still lets people hear the music together. It feels very guerrilla style almost.
A clever workaround. Shows she was determined to share something.
Absolutely. It speaks volumes about wanting to make that connection happen, despite the earlier setback. Very personal, very informal.
And apparently she came back again.
Yes. Later on, maybe around 9:30 p.m., this time she actually sang and danced to the track for the fans who were still there.
Wow.
Yeah, and there are quotes of her telling the crowd how much she loved them, thanking them for sticking around.
Those moments, that direct interaction, that must mean a lot to fans.
Oh, immensely. Think about it. In an age where so much is digital and distant, these real, in-person, slightly chaotic moments, they build serious loyalty. They become these shared stories, I was there when. It makes fans feel genuinely seen.
Okay, the song itself, what was that? We got a little snippet of the lyrics, too.
Since I was 17, I gave you everything. Now we wake from a dream. Well, baby, what was that?
Sounds reflective, maybe looking back.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? Hinting at maybe a change in perspective, looking back at her journey since she started so young.
And premiering that kind of song with just a handheld radio in a park.
It kind of fits.
Mhm.
It strips away all the production, the hype. It makes it about the raw emotion, the vulnerability maybe. Could be a very deliberate choice to match the song's feel.
It also turns out this wasn't entirely out of the blue. She teased it before.
Yeah, apparently her very first TikTok video showed her walking through Washington Square Park.
The same park.
The same park, yeah. Listening to a bit of the song. So she was laying the groundwork.
That's smart marketing then. Using different platforms, linking the online tease to the real-world location.
It's very modern, very savvy. It creates this whole narrative, connects the digital world with a physical place, makes the whole thing feel more immersive for the fans paying attention.
And this direct fan connection, it seems like a pattern lately for her.
It does. You mentioned the text messages. There was also that voice memo she sent out after her Coachella performance with Charlie XCX.
Right, I remember that. She talked about the show.
And she hinted about this new era, didn't she? Said something like, everything is about to change. And she thanked fans for being patient.
So, texts, voice memos, impromptu park sessions. What's the overall vibe she's putting out?
It really feels like a deliberate shift towards more personal, direct communication. Like she wants to pull fans closer and make them feel part of the process, especially as she enters this new era.
And we should probably remember, for anyone maybe newer to her music, Lorde isn't some brand new artist trying to get noticed.
Not at all. She exploded onto the scene in the 2010s. Think Royals, Team, Greenlight, Ribs.
Yellow Flicker Beat from the Hunger Games soundtrack, too.
Exactly. She's a major established artist. She even popped up at a Knicks game recently in New York.
So, for someone with that level of success, this park event wasn't about needing attention.
Probably not, no. It suggests it's more about artistic intention, a desire to connect differently, maybe more authentically with her core audience, perhaps valuing that directness over, a massive traditional rollout.
Okay, so let's wrap up this DRM News Global Briefing. What we saw was a surprise text message invite,
Which led to a big crowd in Washington Square Park.
followed by a shutdown because, well, city regulations and permits weren't in place.
Right. But then Lorde's determination shone through. She came back not just once, but twice.
First with Blood Orange and a radio, then to sing and dance herself, sharing the new song What Was That? In a really unique, unconventional way.
It was a really compelling sequence of events, a great snapshot of how artists and fans are connecting now, the creativity involved, and the hurdles too.
Definitely. Which brings us to our final thought for you listening to DRM News Global today. When you look at this whole park episode and her other recent direct fan communications, what does it signal to you?
Yeah, what does this suggest about her next album, this new era she's hinting at? And how is her relationship with her audience changing?
Is this mix of spontaneity and very intentional connection maybe the new way forward for artists like her? Something to think about.